What's at the top? Damn. It's a beautiful day today. Um, no evil spirits, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I try to do an experiment, cause I'm like, I don't like horror movies. They give me nightmares, bro. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where to put you blokes. Oh my god, is this like a new, I wouldn't say a new scenery, but a new area game? Alright, let's get the yapping, bro. I wouldn't call it yapping, I call it essential conversation with oneself. But instead of just keeping it, I post it, just with the music too. So, um, first things first, how are you? Hope you're doing, having a wonderful day. I kinda am looking for a new job. You know, I always had like this crazy idea of like not working and then just making it out. Like I was like, how am I gonna buy equipment if I'm not doing anything illegal? So I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to work. Cause working wasn't in my mindset. Cause I was like, I never want to feel like a slave in some manner of speaking if it's not physical or mental. So I never wanted to work for somebody, like. But at the end of the day, that's capitalism. You gotta work somewhere. So fuck it, fuck it, we ball. I'm getting over my sickness, as you can see. We kind of can breathe. That's good. That's pretty good. What was it? I was gonna say I had some grandioso epiphany, but it didn't boost my morale as some epiphany does. I was mentally I was stuck in a bubble. I thought, I think it was good to have that, like, cause I thought I'm the only one that's really doing it, like you know what I'm saying. But then you gotta realize there's like damn near like 10 billion people in the world. So like somebody probably either had the idea, just didn't, act on it, And the reason why I didn't start like music, YouTube, 'cause I was like, damn, everybody else is doing it, so why do it? I always had like this mindset of like, if I'm not the first to do it, I'm not gonna do it. And if it's not hard or it's not challenging, I'm not gonna do it. You can apply that to school, but no, Get your education, Brewski. Get your education. It is useful if you want to be a key factor, a key element in capitalism, and you want to make some money. So you gotta do it. In a perfect world, nobody has to work. We share all things, and everybody gets stuff equally. But you can't do that because that's communism. Nobody likes that. Great in theory, but when executed, it's pretty bad. I'm in the South. What the South have that like the East Coast and like the West Coast and don't have. Well, we're kind of northeast, so good. But like we got a Piggly Wiggly. What is it? Big Lots, Cookout. Yeah, you got Bojangles. We got Bojangles. I think everybody got Canes. Yeah, everybody got Canes. Yeah. No. I got a lot of titles for albums now. That's pretty good. We're not in like a mental depressive slope. There was a theory out there that regular human things that we do on a daily basis is starting to get like renamed as like disabilities or phenomenons or phobias and shit, but it's just regular human expression. That's why I always said I feel like fluctuating emotions in a positive or negative manner is normal. But then you got BPD and PTSD and stuff like that. Not saying it's not true, but I feel like Nobody wants to be normal in the world anymore. Everybody wants to be extravagant. Everybody wants to be unique. Everybody wants to be extraordinary. So if everybody extraordinary, where's the comparison to somebody that isn't extraordinary? You know, if those people don't exist, how can everybody be different? You know, it's like love. People think the opposite of love is hate, and I think the opposite of love is indifference. You know. I think we should find a middle ground to a mental state of emotion. You know, your emotional actions, your physical actions, and I guess those are the two actions you can truly have. Emotional and physical, those are the two only actions. Right? We should find a middle ground for those and not fixate on it. And what I mean by that is, right? You gotta realize, right? You're not the only person on this world, right? You know, nobody is their only person, but we're all the main character in our own story. So, but with me, I see myself as a background character, and I'm always intrigued in, you know, not comparing my life or wanting their life. I'm always intrigued in other people's hobbies and like obsessions. You know, it intrigues me to the point where I made songs about it, mainly due to the fact because humans are interesting. Yes, we can be negative, sadistic, malicious, malice creatures, but we also can be peaceful, enduring, encouraging, you know, and so a positive outlet in some areas, right? But I feel like the repetitiveness of, you know, doing a mundane cycle has dulled us down to the point where our dopamine receptors are so saturated and so burnt out that nothing feels good anymore. Nothing feels new, right? And I want to change that. Maybe that's why I created it. I wanted to have a new spark. But that new spark doesn't last as long as you think, right? You got to keep on topping it and topping it, and then once you're at the top, you fall. But then you got those extraordinary people that just they keep raising the roof no matter what. And you're just like, damn, how are they gonna top this? And they keep on doing it. But then it's the fear or the fixation of failure that really makes people stop and makes everybody like, you know, trying to grandeur this idea of, damn, what can I do next to make people notice me, or what can I do next to people see me as something different, right? Right. The deception of your perspective, you know. But in my song, it was the deception of your perception. Killing everything, but you're not perceptive. Feeling everything, embody it, craving it, but then it hits to a melodic fashion when it's like, don't lie, and then it just stops. I'm not really good with beats, bro. I gotta find something better. But I love giving like, I have over 400 videos now. If I'm giving myself, you know, a pat on my back, I would say if that only, I was gonna say only 10% is nonsense, but I'm gonna flip it. Only like 10% of my videos are purely straight other thoughts that I think that are original thoughts, but you know, once said none of your thoughts are original, just reworded and rebranded as something different. I give myself about 10% of my videos are like something that could be captivated as something new, something that is experimental, and that cannot be just put in a box, because either way, things I say to you right now can be put as a box as, oh, psychology, or philosophy, or, oh, this is the human experience, or he's just a commentary channel, something like that, right? I can be put in a box no matter what I do, right? But the self-awareness that I give you, it's different, it makes you feel different. That's why you keep watching. That's why newcomers come on in, you know? Some things make you feel powerful, you know? And then when things make you feel powerful, you have to remind people why you're so powerful, right? But then, people be like, well, if you're so powerful, you wouldn't have to say it. But in those instances, I think people say that so you don't, come off as arrogant or cocky. But I feel like some of the most powerful people have exclaimed or claimed that they're powerful, even if it was in a malicious way. Like, if you're good at something, you will let it be known so people can, bask in your glory, right? If you're the fastest man alive, in one instance, you're going to tell people you're the fastest, right? People just don't like it when it's like when a good-looking person knows they're good-looking, people don't like it. It comes off as brash or conceited, I'm an ugly mug, okay? I know that. I'm not the type of nigga to know that I'm handsome and try to fish for compliments. That's dead. I know I'm ugly. It's okay. But it's in what's let me know that. But I used to say it's the inside that matters, which it truly does, but some people say that's cold. But, well, that's whatever, bro. You gotta be a sincere person and be, enamored to things, right? The power went out a couple of days ago in this whole neighborhood. It was pitch dark and my phone was at 4%. You know me, I was just I was reading, then I went to doom scrolling. Then when the power went out, my phone was at 3%. Couldn't charge, couldn't do anything. I just sat in that I just sat in darkness, basking in it. And then it reminded me I was afraid of the dark. I think we all have an innate fear that is primal of darkness, right? I feel like you're connected to your primal areas if you're still, afraid of like laying down and your back is not facing the wall, like you need noise in the background. But the noise in the background wasn't completely just sound. It wasn't just things hanging around. It was gunshots. It was police sirens zipping through the highway, trying to arrest the man that was running away, being exclaimed as a person that just couldn't stay away. It wasn't the drugs. It wasn't the thugs. It wasn't people getting mugged. It wasn't even a black man trying to sell a rug. It was just an individual walking down the street, just walking down the street, minding his own business. Wasn't jaywalking. Jaywalking's a slur. Wasn't jaywalking, wasn't taunting, wasn't being arrogant. Wasn't doing nothing, but he just chose to walk down the wrong street that day. He got left straight away. So, in that darkness, I lay. In that darkness, I couldn't pray. In that darkness, I was writing down things I should have said, should have saved. In that darkness, I was trying to light a sage to exclaim all the negative energy that tends to stay away. In that darkness, that man that was walking down that street that day, he died. People say he died because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. People say he died because he was darker than the power outage once it was so. People said he died because he didn't give himself enough attention. I think that man died because he wasn't allowed to exist freely. That man wasn't allowed to exist freely. So with that, they took not just his soul, but his body. And they left it flat out the street, not even bleeding out, but he was gone. But in that darkness, nobody could see. All people could do was sing along to a nice little song they gave themselves when they thought they were wrong. We preach and we yammer about things that we did wrong, but at the end of the day, we don't care what goes on. If it's not in our little bubble, we don't care, We don't care. And it's okay, because who am I to tell you that you did it wrong because you sing along? You sing along to the things that are done wrong, enamored in the things that we cannot really say. It's just we just re-emphasize on creativity and being corrective, right? But we see that we're disillusioned in the things that we're not really truly perceptive, you know? Power went out, didn't think nothing of it. Gone for an hour, my phone died. In a dark room. My eyes were fully open, but I couldn't see anything 2 inches in front of me. Windows open, street lights are still on that side. And I just sit there and sigh. Damn. Question myself every day, who am I? Am I just another dude sitting down, trying to make it out? Or do I want the attention that fame brings? Well, you could get a bet, bro. Hold on. What? Am I just another dude that wants attention for another thing? But it's not what it seems. I sew through the seams. Got a nice little style. Cracking a smile. Walking down. Making sure not everything is upside down. Trying to figure out, why do people frown? Do they frown because the things that they can't have doesn't stay around, or do they frown because they know one day they will be upside down, or in the ground? Maybe that's why. That's why people are so sad. They're so sad because they wish they had the things that they never had. A passion project, right? Used to really be a Jordan guy. Used to love him. Wasn't even a Nike. It wasn't about the mass production of the shoe. It wasn't the seam. It wasn't the style. It was the culture. But those so-called culture vultures tend to take things that they don't even know what it means. Then they rebrand it and be like, oh, we did it first. You see what I mean? Right? It comes to a corny deduction of things that, tend to give you like a tiny bit of ruckus. But I was wondering, if I was that guy in the darkness walking, but I had some Jordans on, would I still be alive? Would my parents sigh about the things that could have been, but I died? So, once again, the officer asked him a question: "Are you high?" And that set him alive. That was like, oh, I see what this is. Let me come correct. Let me switch the things that I know what's next. Let me code switch my words so I might not get checked. But even though he did all those things, he was still on the street at the end of the day as the darkness laid across the plain, Nobody truly cares about what is supposed to be said. Nobody truly cares because, it's just nonsense. It's just wind, It's spinning things that could have been. Nobody knew a man died that day. Nobody knew a man died a couple of days when the darkness lay. And that truly says a lot for the humanity we so-called say we have. But I'm glad, though, that human being doesn't have to be on an earth that he knows is destroyed. But we put a cover over things. We see it, but we just don't believe it. The cover is transparent, translucent at this point. We do things just to do it day by day, but being impoverished is mentally discrepancies. It's mentally breaking you down on a I was gonna say a microscopic level, but that's not true. It is true, actually. Do your studies, right? Stop saying do your research when you're just doing a sketchy website and you're doing your shit on TikTok. Which is not, People think they're so smart because they plot on things they heard once again, you know? They heard, they misinterpreted it. They misinterpreted it. They misinterpreted it. That's not a word, is it? They misinterpret the things that they say and they go with it. They say something wrong and then they try to stretch it along and make it seem like it was right. Say the wrong word, you skip over, you try to act like you're smarter than what you are. Nobody wants to be normal either. Everybody wants to be so-called good. So you flaunt the things that make you outstanding. You give yourself tattoos, you pierce your body, you wear your makeup, you go to the gym. It's either you do it for your health or your wealth. But it's not the wealth of your money or your equity or your lucrative money. It's the wealth of the attention. Attention is currency nowadays. Can you see? Attention is currency nowadays. Can you see? Can you believe? Can you be? Attention, it's currency nowadays. That's why I set up the phone and talk. That's why people post on their little blogs and their little TikToks. Because intention, not attention, intention is currency nowadays. Can you believe? Once again, I'm going to say it again. Do you need attention, or the intention of what you do is currency nowadays? The things that you say can be misconstrued, but it's currency nowadays. Preach all you want about things you do. The attention, the positivity is the currency nowadays. Not what you are inside, it's what you show, what you embellish. The intention of your attention is what is currency nowadays. The things you wear, we're like birds trying to mate. We do a little dance, we fluff our feathers because we want to procreate. But it's not the procreation, it's the sensation of procreation. But that one mistake creates a child that nobody wants, neither do I. So you send him to a foster home, foster care, so he can get mistreated. But if he was never born, would he have to subside with this anger? Knowing he has no father, knowing that his mother didn't want him, but his mom had nothing going for him. His mom had nothing going for her, so she kept the child. It seemed like she wasn't born, had nothing going in her life, so a child would bring her something that was soaring. She adored the child. The baby fever got to her, but now because the baby's crying, you don't know what's wrong, you want to throw him away. You want to put him in a garbage can, let him float out in the river. Somebody else's problem. The child is dead. The child would have been dead if you would have made the decision to be safer. Or you would have popped that pill like it was a perk, then rapped about it in your little verse. But things we do can hop next to next. And, you know, I'm truly perplexed how we can have all this sex, but we know what comes what's next. We know what comes what's next. We know what comes next. But we used to use it as a flex, especially in the teenage year. Oh yeah, I'm having sex. You know what I'm saying? I'm busting a little one. I'm getting my little tongue. I'm getting my little shit wet. So I know what's next, but can't have sex with everybody. It's not because of the STDs that set you free. It's not because of the things that you want to do. It's not because some niggas BD and some niggas from the streets and you fuck this bitch, so now you next. Now you might get killed. Now you might be the same nigga on the street on a blacked out set. No. Can't have sex with everybody because it's not more than soul tie. It's the things that you can't really think because your brain is so fried. Not because you smoking that blunt or you trying to feel like, ooh, I want to get high. It's because the attention of what you did was your currency and you spent that shit already. I spent my currency. Now I'm in a debauchery. I'm in a situation where I can't be set free. A girl lied on my name, so now I'm here begging on my knees, pleading to the next man to set me free, but I know I don't want to end up like my father. 5 kids in, he's depressed. He don't know what's next. The military checks used to be a flex, but now they being diminished. But once you hit that 1-8, they throw you away like a dirty plate. It surely is. I'm 1-8 now. I can vote, I can make a sound, but I might be seen as an adult. But if I was 1'7" or 1'6", that's when they give a shit. You know, you got enough time, just wait it. Just wait a little bit. Ain't life about a bitch. You gotta see it. You just another statistic. If I die right now, I'm just another statistic. Which is which? If I die right now, it's a gun violence or a natural cause of death. You just another statistic. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Why you think they bury us? And then they come carry us. They come to kick the casket. They come to read it out. They come to rent it out. So you better put a dent on my casket or ignite my body into ashes. Because everything's a profit. It's not the attention, it's the intention of what's your currency. So why do you think they bury you? You don't gotta be spiritual. You don't gotta be enlightened to see that it's not the intention, it's the intention that's your currency. Another man has died today. Another man has died today, you know? Not everything will make sense once I say it, but if you slow it down, you think, and it's perplexing, maybe you'll understand the next saying, you know? Forever grateful for what I am. Forever grateful for what I can say. Forever grateful for the things that I can be. Because you gotta think, you're already a statistic. You're lucky enough to be in a country that so-called is free. Once I used to say equality is a facade, but I'm trying to make that true. Freedom of speech is not real until you speak about the things they want you. They will silence you once you tend to see what is truly skewed. But I won't falter, I won't fall. I won't be passed across the hall in a big gulp, you know? You gotta... Because if you're an activist or you're somebody that wants to be something great, right? You can't do it while you're small. Build something that is attention-seeking and then flip your character to who you once were. Because if you do it while small, you'll just be another one across the hall saying hi to the big guy up in the sky. Bro. Bro. Yo, these cookies slap, man. Come on, so. I used to have an obsession. With deadly weapons. Didn't know the names, but I loved the sound, I loved the smell, I loved how it felt in my hand. I loved the whelps it used to give on my skin because I didn't know how to hold it right. I used to love pulling the trigger, used to make corny, dark jokes, calling people niggers. I used to love it. But everything's so censored now, but for a good reason. They want everybody to feel safe, even though we're in the most deadliest state. Never could get the names right. But I always knew one gun you don't want is a Taurus, because that bitch gonna jam on you. Actually, it's not a Taurus. It's a high point. The highest point that you can get. As you smoke your spliff and you got your little wick, you got your little shit. Now you think you is shit. But one nigga gonna test you, thinking that you bitch. And then you gonna pull that trigger, wishing that you would. You know, you wish that you couldn't. You wish you could take it all back. Now you got a hat on your hands and you wish you couldn't wear it like that. That hat is forever. You can't take it off. You can scrub off the blood, but the memories still lay. You can still smell the gunpowder hitting your nostril once you pulled that trigger as you lay. But just because that nigga tested you and you thought that he thought that you was a bitch, you had to prove something. Now you facing 25 to life because it wasn't self-defense. A couple words went across your ear and now you up on the fence. Ain't nothing wrong being scared. Some of the strongest warriors were scared before a battle. Some of the hoodest niggas were scared before that shootout. The difference from a coward and a hero is the decision they make after. The decision they make after. But you know one thing that doesn't change? The laughter. It's the laughter of him running away or the laughter after the hero wins, you know? You get to talk to your kin about the stories you used to do, about the drills you used to do, about the people you used to shoot, about the doors you used to knock on, about the packages you used to steal, about the bitches you used to kill, you know what I'm saying? But if I explain every verse to you, it won't hit the same. So you can split it and be diverse, but it won't hit the same. It won't hit the same. That's why everybody copies the wave. That's why everybody sounds the same. That's why every beat is kind of lame. It's kind of lame. I'm not going on. But once again, who are you to judge when you have done nothing with it? You know, who are you to judge something when you have done nothing with it? A fat man on his phone typing in the comments to a buff man's working out. That's not optimal. Why are you doing that? But who are you? But they don't know. You can be a little troll. That's not optimal. You might get injured. Hypertrophy is not the best thing for your muscles. You need rest. As that fat man sits in the chair, starting puffing up his chest, texting about, ooh, I bet you get no sex. But deep down, that man is not happy. That man is sad about his own life, so he spews out his hatred, he spews out his negativity, because his attention span is so small that he thinks his negativity will actually get him some attention. So we create the words grifters and rage bait because it's fun to annoy people. But when you do it to a certain degree, then it's not truly freeing. It's kind of boring, you know? Some of the most greatest ideas was made out of pettiness, you know? To prove somebody else that they could do it. But which is kind of foolish, but you can't really just rule it as something that's corny, you know? I look at this video later on in my years of if I'm still alive and I'm a great artist selling out shows, I'm gonna be like, damn, I wouldn't even call this a humble beginning. I'll just call it me winning, you know? Because I actually started something. I actually felt powerful because it wasn't the attention I was getting, it was the intention of what I was doing. I didn't spend on my currency. I almost did, but my currency might be expired in a couple of days, who knows, but I don't know, man. This is my first official video of not being sick. I hope y'all was fucking with me. I hope you was fucking. I hate saying y'all. It only be one. It usually just be one or two people that watch. Damn, the wind get hella loud. I hope the audio even picked up my words. If it didn't, I'm gonna be mad. But it's alright though. Bruh. I am not sick, but I still got mucus and shit, so the coughs might still sound crunchy. Hold on. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm back. I'm back. Brief intermission. Wow, what's the time on this bit? Damn! It's been 36 minutes. Shit. A video a day keeps the doctor away. The insane asylum. Bro. Bro. I have mastered the way of being normal. Nobody knows that. A nigga really crazy for real. Nobody knows. Nah, I lie. A couple people know, I ain't gonna lie. And they be like, yo, something off about you. But I like it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm normal to few, you know? But I feel like nobody normal to you, you know? Everybody different in some type of way. Everybody wants to be enamored and extraordinary in some type of way. But you can be different, but not extraordinary. Positively speaking, that's what everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to be this macho guy. I don't know why, though. It seems like all lies, you know? We lie about the smallest things that make us feel better about ourselves and make us feel stronger. But it doesn't last any longer. But I'm still sick. Oh, but I was in the camera. But I thought I was out the camera when I did my fault, OG. I know that's nasty. Damn, boy, again, when he has a motherfucking boy, shit. I might do 2 videos today. I don't know if I'm walking though. Walking, that might be a no-go for today. Who knows? Hold on. I told y'all, I'm basically over the excuse me. I'm basically over the sickness, but you know, I'm not passing out when I walk anymore, but you know, my throat doesn't hurt when I swallow or like breathe or anything. Yeah, my mom got me sick, but also, man, and she said, "You welcome." Ooh, boy, I almost crashed out. Oh, damn, well, it's time. It's damn near time to leave, and but it's 40 minutes, nigga. Great talking to you. I don't know when this video gonna be up. Maybe the day it dropped. I probably gotta edit some stuff out. Nah, we gonna leave it all in. Fuck all that editing and shit. But yeah, man, feeling a little bit better. Yeah. But it was great talking to you, big bro, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Love you.